is something that I've been wanting to do for a little while, and just give you guys some of the basic tips that I think of when I low bar squat, and some important things to think of while you're low bar squatting if this is something that you do. So first thing is first, I have a bar here in the squat rack. The first thing that you're going to want to think of with a low bar squat is where the bar is on the rack. So as you can see here, this is exactly where the placement would be for me for my low bar squat. So it's going to be, you're going to want to think of it sitting on the meat of your back, on a shelf on your back underneath your traps, with your scapula retracted together, or your scapula retracted down and back. So it's not going to be something, it's not going to be as high as where, let's say, a high bar squat would be. So a high bar squat will be sitting on top of your traps. And that's going to be a little bit higher position on the rack than a low bar squat. So for a low bar squat, you're going to want to have it in a position where you can have it underneath your traps on the meat of your back. So as you can see where it is on my back, I'm retracting my scapula down and back and really squeezing my shoulder blades together. And it's going to be coming across the meat of my rear delt. So it's really going to be a stable position on my back. And from here, what I'm going to do is take a big breath and really use both my quads and my glutes to come out of the rack, and then do my 3-step walkout. Now, something that I do want to talk about is hand placement. So as you'll notice, where the bar sits on my back, something that you want to think about is doing, let's say, a lat pull down. So squeezing your lats together and having your lats tight, and squeezing your middle back together, your scapula, and creating this shelf for where the bar is going to sit. Now, hand placement is really going to be determined by shoulder mobility, so it's not going to be the same for every single person. For me, I have pretty good shoulder mobility. I have also had a shoulder injury, so I have to go pretty close in order to feel stable, in order for my shoulder to be protected. But some people are going to be a little bit wider, and that's absolutely fine. If you can't get your shoulders really close together, it doesn't necessarily have to be that way. Now, that is the way that I squat, and I have my elbows pretty close together. But then something else too is wrists. So this is going to be a false grip where your thumbs are wrapped around the bar like this. This is going to be just a normal grip where your thumbs are wrapped all the way around. So false grip and normal grip. Now, either is fine. A false grip is going to be easier on your wrists. If you're doing a normal grip where you're wrapping around, you'll definitely want to use wrist wraps. So that's something I would absolutely recommend getting. So anytime you squat, you do not want to be squatting in a running shoe. You either want to be squatting flat-footed. So if you don't have any flat shoes, then in socks. Next would be a flat-soled shoe like this. This is a very flat shoe. Another flat option are chucks, and then squat shoes, obviously. So you want to have a stable surface when you're squatting. You don't want to have a running shoe. Running shoes are actually meant to distribute force as you're running, and not have a completely flat surface that's going to be, jarring your leg when you run, obviously. So running shoes are probably one of the worst things you can wear when you're squatting. So as I mentioned before, back tightness and stability is very important with any squat, but especially low bar squat, because the bar is going to be lowered. And something to think of with low bar squat, now for me, for my body setup, low bar is more efficient. The bar is closer to, essentially you're reducing the amount of distance that the bar has to travel in a squat. So the higher it is up on my back, the further it's going to have to travel from the top of the squat to the bottom. So for a low bar squat, get in position, tight back, retract your scapula down and back. Really think of pinching your shoulder blades together. Now, something you don't want to do is unrack the bar with feet split. You want to have your feet together because this is going to be the most stable position. I take a 3-step walkout. 1, 2, 3. You can take a 2-step walkout. This is going to be a little bit more unstable. It's going to be 1, 2. You're going to run the risk of possibly, if you have lots of plates on each side, banging the side of the rack. So what I recommend for people is doing a 3-step walkout. So back, out, out. You're in position. Lock your glutes. So 3-step walkout. 1, 2, 3. First thing I'm going to do is lock my glutes to align my hips under the bar. So if you can see like this, if I keep my hips untensed, the bar is not going to be over top of my hips. Also, if you're competing in a meet or something, you're not going to get the squat command until you are stable and in position. If they see you're leaning over like this, they're not going to give you the squat command. So tense glutes, big breath. Return with tense glutes. That's something that's very important. Some people I see squatting and they just kind of, their hips are moving. They're trying to make their butt look good when they're squatting. No, your butt should not look good when you're squatting. Your glutes should look like I don't know, cottage cheese when you're squatting. My butt. That wasn't a good analogy. It should look like, what should it look like?
A rock.
Your butt should look like a rock when you're squatting. It should not be. It should not be like a nice rounded thing. It should be, you know, tense. So something I also want to talk about is breath. So when you take in a breath when you're squatting, you should be filling up your core and your abdominals, not your chest. So something to think of, I mentioned this in my other squat tutorial, is doing the Valsalva, where you're breathing in, tongue to the roof of your mouth, and you'll fill up your core. Almost as if you're pushing out your core into your belt. So if you're wearing a belt, which I would recommend for people, it definitely helps myself. It's not required, but as you're lifting heavier weights, it's probably something that you might want to look at investing in. So when you have the bar on your back, really think of a tight back, retracting your scapula. You should think of like shoving the bar into your back. You want that bar to be as tight as possible. You don't want any movement. So when you have your back, think of like a lat pull down to get in position, and then pushing the bar. So when you have the bar on your back and it's in the low bar position, don't think of it just sitting here on your wrist. Think of locking that thing into your back in a very stable position. Having a low bar position on your back too will place the bar over your midfoot, and that's why it works for more people than high bar, because as you put it down on your back, it's going to be more centered over your midfoot as opposed to up on your neck. It's going to be more on your, going to cause you to lean forward, and you're going to tend to be more, you can pitch forward. So when I used to do high bar squatting, I actually did used to high bar squat, I had a tendency to go on my toes. I still do, even with low bar squatting, because I'm very quad dominant, but it is going to help with that issue. So hopefully this was helpful for you guys, and I will talk to y'all soon. Does this look like I'm queen of the squat?
That does.
This does?